Welcome to Team Futurism. Today, I'm interviewing Amar Flora, who is a co-founder and CEO of Clavis, an AI agent ecosystem for the real estate industry. And he is also the CEO of OnlyDads, a community for dads and future dads. Amar, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Peter. I'm excited.
Yeah, so I had you on today specifically to talk about your new project of OnlyDads. And let's just start there. Are you a dad?
I am a dad. I'm a first-time dad. My son is now 21 months old. And OnlyDads was actually, I was sitting on it the day my son was born. And then I noticed the next 6 months, the amount of support in general that a lot of women have. There's mothers groups, there's wives groups, there's like so much on social media also catered for them. And something that we don't have as dads, is that same support group. And we end up defaulting to what's available to us through our own really tiny network. Or it's kind of like, I don't know if I grew up watching Seinfeld, and Seinfeld once made this joke that, when you grow up and you become a father, you're basically told to, hey, I made this new friend. Your wife comes and tells you, or your kid comes and tells you, I made this new friend. So you have to become friends with their parents. And that's how you become, you grow your friendship.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
that's so true.
so the independence of that, kind of withers away as you get older. So that was the basis of Only Dads. However, um, I started discussing it with some good friends, including Arun, and it just culminated into something bigger. And a lot of facts came out that dads in general are, an underserved population on social media. Um, Dads want, and a lot of great dads also want independence. It's got nothing to do with doing anything naughty, but it's just connecting with other dads around the world and have friends around the world, and be able to call upon someone just to help each other out. So that's how Only Dads came about. And it grew into a platform where we are now launching, we're having our official launch on Monday, but we did a private beta about 2 months ago. We've had folks from Australia, from India, from Singapore, of course, US. All of those have joined, London, Canada. So it's just an organic growth right now. We're not doing much to it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's great. So I just got an account on there very recently to check it out in preparation for this interview. And it is fascinating to me because it's such like an obvious thing. It's like an app that connects dads and dads can discuss things. And there's like, what are your interests and that sort of a thing. It's fairly basic. But
Yeah.
the brilliant thing about it is that, okay, I've been a dad for almost 4 years now. My daughter's turning 4 this month. And I've seen a million apps. I've gone through a million apps. I've never seen one that is specifically for dads. Maybe I wasn't looking, but they're just not there. And so for one example, my daughter's daycare, there's an app associated with it, right?
Yep.
And they recently changed the name of it. It's called like Lilio now or something like that. But it used to like have mom in the title of that. And which is like indicative of, I think, just like this whole world of raising a parent. Everything is very mom centric. I'm not even saying it shouldn't be that way, but like it just explicitly is that way. And so my wife is on this app associated with the daycare, and there's like a message board there, right? And if you look at it, it's only moms ever who engage in it. And every now and then my wife will kind of like show me the app, and it's all just like gossipy type stuff and things where I'm like, I wouldn't even necessarily want to like engage there. So I've never touched it. Like I engage with it via my wife, but I myself have never touched that app. And it's like that with a lot of the other apps that are just like are kind of come at you when you have a child. So I appreciate this because it's like, I like things in general that are like universal. Here's for everybody. It's like my nature to like things like that. But like in this specific instance, I feel like dads need an app.
Yeah.
So it is great. What is some of the feedback that you've heard from people who are users of the app?
Well, number one, they love the name, and it's a play on words from OnlyFans. So we wanted to make it fun, so they love the name. Number two, you've touched on some really good points, and we have often discussed that internally as well. I mean, let's face it. First of all, women in general, they're the glue of family and friends and society, right? So they make stuff happen. And at the same time, it's my personal view, as men and women, as we get older, I think women evolve more. They become maturer, they can do a lot more. Men,
Mhm.
I think, tend to stay linear in their thinking, but we can absorb more as well. But fundamentally, we just basic, folks, we just want to have fun with other guys, whether it's in the community around the world, have a laugh, do stupid things. We, whatever our interests are, love cars, love toys, any hobbies, play video games. You know, that's what this channel is about. One of my very good friends, he's actually been running a dad camp for about 10 years. Uh, and he takes, I think, every quarter, number of dads, I think it's about 50 or so dads that go up into the mountains in Northern America. He just created a channel today on Only Dads, and he's starting to bring people in because he said to me that they actually had a channel on Facebook before, and apparently that started getting hijacked with things that they didn't want. And they started getting hijacked with advertisers they didn't want. They wouldn't mind targeted advertising. They wouldn't mind targeted, like an emergency, something was to go wrong. So we're like looking at those, building those features into Only Dads. So he's created a dad camp as a channel on Only Dads, and he's posted the first event. Then he's inviting other dads in. Now that opens up an advertising revenue, right? So it's just evolving as we are growing it too. The other pieces around it that we are looking at adding, for example, so there's a concept of kitty group. I'm Indian by background, but my parents were they migrated from India a long time ago. I'm not sure if you know this. A lot of Asian families, when they migrate, they start a kitty group, like as part of their family and friends. And what happens is that people, when they're new to a country and they're settling, the kitty fund is created where each family puts $100 in, and then after certain amount of pots collected every month, um, someone gets help from that fund. Let's say someone is struggling, they haven't been able to find a job, they get a pot from that fund. So it's kind of like a bank, but without that bank application and all. It's purely run on trust and goodwill. So something like that we are adding into Only Dads as well, because there's a lot of dads that need help. They're struggling, they go through hard times. So the idea is that we're creating this fund which will be at a hyper local level. So I live in San Mateo. So let's say I create a fund, people around my neighbors, they start adding to that fund, and a few months down the line we have, let's say $10,000, and our neighbor dad needs help. They lost job or something, so you can give them some money, and it's purely a goodwill gesture. We don't expect money back. That concept of kitty fund is what we are creating. And with that also comes the concept of, hey, you lost your job, or you've started a new business, let's throw you a business shower, for example. We do all these different things. But in fact, I think it might be Elon Musk I'm stealing this from, by the way, so I'll give credit to Elon Musk. But I remember hearing him saying, why don't people throw business showers? So we want to do that through Only Dads. People are starting a business, let's give them some help. you know. So
I love
that's
that idea.
concepts.
Yeah, it seems like a very healthy way to have a community that's like a real community, not just like the buzzword community. So I like all of that. That's all really great. And there's this another aspect to this where, I mean, fewer and fewer men are having kids, like fewer and fewer people are having kids. I can name on literally one hand all of my close guy friends who have a kid. Which means kind of sad. I actually just looked it up today. It
Yeah.
is 53% of millennial men are fathers. So, just slightly more than half, which is like, I honestly just like, I would have guessed like 60%, but yeah, 53%. So not a lot.
Is
And
that,
when
sorry, is
you,
that a global statistic, or you're looking at US only?
that was just US, that was
Okay.
in the US. So yeah, I assume it's probably higher globally. But when I had a kid, I could ask my brother if I needed advice, which I did. I texted him a number of times, being like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" You know, or I had one friend I could text, and his son is 1 year older than mine. But that was it. I literally had no one else I could talk to about when a kid is like, let's say under 24 months, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes
Oh
on.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is a kid supposed to be just crying like this? Like, I haven't slept in 3 days. Like, what's going on? Like, what should I do? There's so many things like this.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
do need community. So I really love what you're doing here. Do you think that a community like this could impact the broader culture by kind of like encouraging more guys to have kids. And I kind of personally think that it could, because I have noticed that since I started talking about how like I have a daughter and it's like so much fun, like it's the coolest thing you can do, all my guy friends who do not have kids, you can tell they have like this FOMO, this like fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Like you see in their eyes. They're like, oh, I mean, maybe I'm projecting it onto them, but like I sense that it's kind of there, right? Because you have so much to talk about. There's so much going on in your life. No matter how boring your life is, there's suddenly so much going on because you have a kid. And I think that like, yeah, like projecting that by like having a community undergirding all of that is powerful, perhaps.
It is. And, it's also inherently, it's in our nature, right, to carry on our lineage, to leave a legacy. At the same time, unfortunately, we live in a Western country where having a kid is, before people used to have a kid and think about it as this fun, happy, joyous time. Now having a kid is like stress, money stress, financial stress, so hopefully through our platform, and it's, we're not there yet, we're still new, but hopefully through our platform, that's where we can actually help them, and it motivates certain joyous feelings, brings that concept of a community back, right? A father having a kid will be going, oh, I can connect with this guy on OnlyDads who has been through it, and he can help me out, and it becomes a one-on-one mentor or confidant. So, and kid aside, as I mentioned, business is the other angle, or just, sometimes getting together and have that independence, because now when you have a kid, it's also very important to have that independence from your kid and your partner, right? So you want to sometimes go and do something that you used to do when you were 20 years old. You can go into OnlyDad and create a channel and say, hey guys, can we go fishing this weekend? Can we go camping? Kid free and partner free. So it kind of works, in a full circle, and that's the hope. um, you asked the question how it's being received. Very, we started this project purely for fun, and I believe when you start something for fun, it tends to attract more fun people. It tends to attract more positive energy. So we've had organic growth already. We've had investors come to us and saying, hey, we'd like to invest in this. The other thing, I started looking at it, simply because, look, I live in the Bay Area, so I look at pitch decks quite a lot. So I started doing some research around it, and it said that apparently a lot of money at the moment is going into niche social media platforms. Uh,
Interesting.
and then I did the research on the other side, and I think it's something you found too. Large amount of current social media. Uh, when I think Facebook was, I was 26. I'm now 46. I was 26 when Facebook came around. I was active user for 4 or 5 years. Then I dropped off. Right, and a lot of the dads are in the same equation. So only dads, I've got messages now from people I don't even know, because the word's gotten out. One guy messaged me saying, oh, this is great, we need to produce more kids, so this is a platform that we can help each other out. The other guy messaged me, he's like, this is great, I think I'm going to join and become a social media active member again, because he stopped being on Facebook and Instagram some time ago.
I like that a lot. So yeah, if you go to only-dads.com, you'll see this slogan here, which is no judgment, no influencers, no live, laugh, love wall art. And you can kind of see like that it's very much a walled garden, which appeals to me. And I think like you're saying, that appeals to a lot of people, because if you go on Facebook or Twitter or any other the behemoths, it feels like you're just swimming in the ocean. And even if you do have like a little community that you kind of like get around yourself, you still feel that like I'm in an ocean, and oh, if I say the wrong thing, I'm going to be judged in certain ways or like canceled in certain ways, or whatever the case might be. But there's like you never have a true sense of like I belong to this community, maybe a sub community, but not like this community. And it's interesting because I belong to a couple of other like niche-ish social media platforms. One being stage32.com, which I'm curious, are you even aware of that? Like, I think it's funny because there's so many of these. Yeah, so probably anybody listening to this wouldn't even know about stage32.com. And it is a social media platform, a fully formed, fully robust social media platform that is specifically for screenwriters and filmmakers.
Oh,
And
wow.
so if you go on there and you're a screenwriter, and I've done this, like you can connect with people in your community who are like, oh, like I got a camera. Do you want to borrow it this weekend? Or like I'm filming something cool. Do you want to like help out? That sort of thing. And I have sold screenplays just by being on stage32.com, like not even like really actively being that engaged, but just like my presence there, like tagged with where I live, that sort of a thing. I got connected with some guys in San Jose who were like, small time ish filmmakers down there. And I worked together with them on screenplay. It didn't get filmed because of COVID happened. But in any case, like pretty cool. Like I think that like that is so cool. And that experience that I've had would have just not happened if I was like, hi, Facebook, I'm a filmmaker. It's like,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So yeah, I love this walled garden thing. I love the niche social media. What do you think is the future of social media in general as you're looking at it right now and as you're kind of like, diving into it yourself?
Yeah. Very good question. I actually don't have a very clear cut answer um, because I wasn't on social media for a while. I remained dormant. Then, when I started my businesses, a lot of people said, hey, you should create a business account on social media. I created one, started using them for advertising, and I noticed it doesn't work.
Mhm.
The ROI on it just doesn't work. And then similarly, what ends up happening is you get scammed a lot more or attempted scams and lot more bots. So I think that's the way social media in general is heading, and that's why this concept of niche social media is where I think investors and users are paying more attention to. And I believe that's where the future will go. Little niche platforms like OnlyDads, like Stage 32.
So if you are running a niche social media platform, how do you get attention to it? Especially since, as you just said, and as I've heard from many people say, ads just don't work that well. Like, how do you get attention to it?
Still a work in progress. I am currently just monitoring to see how uh, Elon Musk bought Twitter, right, a couple of years ago, and he worked hard to eliminate bots, for example. And I've noticed one of the things he's been able to do is eliminate those bots, and that's first the advertisers left because whatever his political issues were, but now the advertisers seem to be coming back because he cleaned up the platform as much as he could, eliminated bots as much as he could. Now I don't know what the truth is. I'm just going by what I've been reading, and now the advertisers are starting to come back. So I think that might be a approach, but I don't
Mhm.
have a strategy yet that I have devised, and it's something I think we will evolve over time. Currently, it's just all we are doing is promoting it organically through word of mouth, and everyone that's joined so far is literally a friend or a friend of a friend.
Mhm. I guess coming on podcasts helps, right? So this is good.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the process of starting an app or maybe like any sort of a small online based business. I was somewhat recently involved in a startup just as like the content guy that was maybe a little bit too ambitious and maybe they didn't have quite the funds to get it off the ground or for whatever reason it like very over the course of months like fizzled and then it just like kind of like the emails stopped going out to people and like it just kind of died on the table. I
Yeah.
think how like I don't know like how do you make it happen? How do you like have an idea and then you go from there to like 0 to 1, as Peter Thiel
Yeah.
would say?
Dep- You know, uh, a lot of lessons learned from the past is the first thing that comes to mind that helps, and that helps me filter down ideas that are good or not good. The other part is just look, I'm naturally an optimist, and I like to get things done and moving. So it's that concept of, you would have heard it, succeed fast, fail fast, or the other way around. So if you want to launch something, you can create as many business models you want, pitch decks as you want. Until you launch it, you actually never know. Um, so I work off the ladder. Let's just, if I want to do something, let's just launch it, and then we'll see, how it figures out. But also, it'll give us, that window. I look at a window of like 2 3 months now of a launch. Before, and this is before AI, when I built some other businesses, they ended up taking about a year or two just to build. So now look at 2 3 months launch window. So you know very fast if it's going to work or not. And then if it's going to work, you keep going. If not, you cut your losses and get out. So I'll give you the best two examples. My real estate tech company, Clavis, it's taken me almost 3 years in total to build out and all. I started that in 2021 before AI really burst on the scene, right? OpenAI and all this came about. So we built that out in a traditional coding programming format. Uh, then came OnlyDads. Uh, my CTO and my CPO, which is Chief Product Officer, both are power users of Replit. And in my previous company, Clavis, we never had Replit, never used it. So the engineering team was old school. They were working away slowly, slowly, and they did a great job to build it out. But it still took a lot of time. Along came Replit. We built out the whole MVP in a matter of about 3 weeks. And the main thing between Replit and actual programming is that Replit you cannot really complete yet the full backend integration. So we brought in my other team who are good at AWS tech stack to integrate it with backend so we can scale up. So 3 weeks building out the code on Replit that gave us a working MVP. We tested it out as a concept, and people said, "Hey, this is great. This is fantastic. Love it." We then brought in the other team, and another 3 weeks launched the product. They
Wow.
integrated the whole thing. So that's where I think we are headed towards. And I think a lot of us would have heard now. All the industry experts and investors are saying the next billion-dollar company, one man, one person, one woman company is coming very soon, and I can see it. Anyone who's a power user of AI and they can use AI to stitch together various tools, you can end up creating a whole company.
Yeah, it's interesting if you listen to an interview of Sam Altman or Mark Cuban or one of these guys. They always say, it's interesting. I've heard them both say this multiple times. I wish I were a young person today, like just graduating high school, because I'd have this amazing toolkit,
Yeah,
AI, to be able to build a company myself. I'd go from like idea to company all by myself without having to worry about getting a team, et cetera, et cetera. Like all the overhead, a lot of the expense is literally just gone right now.
yeah.
Do you think, though, this is the sense that I have a little bit. Do you think that there was perhaps some value to having to go through the world in more of an analog way to build things like literally brick and mortar in a way that like perhaps young people lacking that experience, they might just not have that entrepreneurial drive, do you think?
Yeah.
Or do you think that maybe that entrepreneurial drive is just like innate to people? And I ask this partly in the context because I see so many stories about younger generations aren't having kids, not drinking alcohol, not partying, not socializing. Like I feel like their whole world is just a different thing from what I experienced. And I wonder if like also their drive to be entrepreneurs is maybe like, I get it, everyone wants to be rich, but I don't think that can be your driver for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
being a brilliant founder. Give me your thoughts on this topic.
I worry about this actually because I have a son, and my wife and I were talking that when he's now 21 months old. When he's 20, he may not even need to learn how to drive a car, right? Like the basic skill, or how to fix a car, right? So it's those little things. We don't know what college will look like when he's 20. Um, so we got to make sure that at least socially he's adaptable and he's connected, and he's because end of the day people can't live alone. We're not designed to be lonely human beings. That just leads to more depression. So on the other side, I also look at where is that equilibrium point where, let's say, 15 years from now, AI has become so advanced that everyone, 8 billion people right now, let's say on the planet, let's divide it by half. 4 billion people think about, hey, I can do my own business. But to do that own business as well requires creativity to come up in the first place. Otherwise, imagine 4 billion people all doing something similar, and then they're trying to sell products back to each other. There's no business left in a sense. So I worry about that because of in the context of my son, because there'll be a few extremely rich, mega large tech companies that will be controlling everything. And then the little guys will be just left trying to figure out what to do, almost on a day-to-day business. Maybe AI will become their worker, right? Their personal worker, and go out and make money and put food on the table. Who knows? But it's a question we all got to ask. Uh, um, Years ago, I actually attended this seminar in Palo Alto. There's an Institute of the Future, and they were talking about, in the future, they believe that the only way human beings will become purposeful and meaningful is by becoming an interplanetary race. And at the time, people knew of Elon Musk, but not at the scale they know now. So they didn't know about rockets and spaceship and all that. And Institute of the Future said that. They said that will perhaps drive the need for more human skills to grow and more entrepreneurs coming out, because now they're thinking out literally outside the context of Earth and into space, Moon, Mars, engineering that's required to get there. And they'll be along the way, creating, I don't know, fast food chains. You can't really drive through a rocket ship and say, hey, give me a burger, but something, right? So but I think that's where the next wave of entrepreneurship may come about, if we become interplanetary. On Earth, I don't know. I can't really tell, because everything we're touching, I mentioned on the other side, I'm part of a private equity fund. We are involved in looking at robotics, humanoids, and there's two types of robotics, right? There's robotics that's the old school, like a forklift, like a square box. Those can do more, or a single arm. Humanoids, purely for entertainment right now, boxing and thing. But they are being trained so fast to do pretty much almost everything. So when they take over, if they do, I think the only thing stopping them would be government regulations, some form of policies, or some form of something that'll come about, say, hey, we've taken this too far. So, so
Yeah, Zoltan Istvan, who's running for governor of California, that our mutual friend Arun and I have been helping out with his campaign. He is very bullish on robots becoming practical and, like, joining the family effectively in your house at some point in the near-ish future. What is your sense of whether or not we're going to have robots kind of like walking and living among us and being our little helpers? I mean, I mean, my thing is, like, I know people like who are experts in this field tell me or say that, like, oh yeah, it's coming. I have such a hard time picturing it. And,
yeah,
like, as an anecdote, like, my wife would just like hate it. She would never want, like, that, just aesthetically, she wouldn't want it. Right. But I mean, things change quickly. Maybe her character type wouldn't have thought, well, I'll never have an iPhone. Right. I knew people like that, but now everybody has an iPhone. Do you think, like, if you can, like, venture a prediction, do you think that people are going to have robots in their home anytime in the near future doing folding laundry? Or I just saw a video yesterday of a robot folding laundry. So apparently that's, like, basically here at some level. But yeah, what's your sense on that?
So currently, practically, it's hard, because with humanoids that kind of look like us, there's the 5 digits, right, or 4 digits. To program all of them to do work like a household chores, it's quite hard. Obviously, cost factors aside, the robotics currently, where it's working really well, is machinery, like commercial industries and all.
Yeah.
That's already working really well. The humanoid part, I think in the next maybe 20 years, may become more mainstream when our kids grow up and they're growing up around being exposed to humanoids, and they're becoming more comfortable with them. So my kid, when he's 15 years old, who knows, may walk into a classroom and may have literally a humanoid teacher plugged into the internet, and they can pull up information and synthesize and analyze a lot faster than a human teacher. We don't know, but if they can
Yeah.
the internet, they'll be doing it.
Yeah, I guess it's actually easier for me to picture a robot in, like, a classroom than, like, in my house. So maybe there will be some weird divide
Yeah.
about this, but yeah, I'm with you too, that I think at some point it's definitely going to happen at some level. But yeah, that'll be very interesting. I just have one more question about kind of like the tangible world and how it impacts people. I'm fascinated by this topic about how where you physically live really influences who you are and what you do. I think that I read that you're from, you grew up in Australia or lived there for a little while. Is that
Yeah.
true? And now you're in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a small town in Washington State, moved to California, lived in the Bay Area for about 9 years, working for most of that in Silicon Valley. And it's interesting for me because my lifestyle, what I think about and what I do has always been at some level determined by where I live. Believe me, I was thinking about like hunting and fishing a lot when I was in a small town. I just,
Right.
and I wasn't thinking about that when I was working in Sunnyvale in San Jose.
Yeah.
What do you think is the deal with Silicon Valley right now that everyone there just has like this bug of like I'm gonna start companies. I'm gonna work in tech. Tell me about like what's in the water there. What continues to make that place so special in that regard? And also, do you agree with my thoughts there at all?
I absolutely agree. It does shape who you are, where you live, and who you're surrounded with. Look, I was born in India. From memory, I think I was 8 years old when my parents migrated to Australia, so in Sydney. But then even in Sydney, when my parents first migrated, they lived in a very immigrant neighborhood. And then my parents were both skilled engineers, so they worked, got great jobs, and they moved out. And then upper mobility started happening, right? And you can see as you move towards nicer neighborhoods, your way of looking at life changes, your community sentiment changes, and your neighbors are also now somewhat, whether they're educated or they're business people, they're some profession. And so you start getting invited to their homes, and then you start listening and learning about new things that you would have never gotten access to in the previous life. So it does definitely affect you. um, and I did not grow up in a business household. In certain regards, my dad was the first one to start. He was an engineer, structural engineer, and he created a property development company with two other partners. And that was only up until late. I think it was almost, he was 41, 42 or something. He was working in a corporate life. Then we moved to a new area. This new area had a lot of business owners, and he also got that bug. And this was in Sydney, not Silicon Valley. So he just met a few people who were making mega construction projects like condos and apartments. He got the bug. So it influenced him, and he's like, "Hey, I've got the degree. I know how this works. I can do it." Um, Now, moving to Silicon Valley, we actually didn't move here by choice. So my wife is a lawyer who works for Google, and Google moved us up. Um, but I have done a lot of work here in the past when I used to live in Sydney. So every time I would travel to Silicon Valley, there was a little, part of me that would get excited and buzzed about where I am. But then now that I live here, one thing I have started picking out a lot more is there's still a lot more, there's a lot of BS here as well. So cutting through the
Mhm.
fake versus what's real. And the biggest part of that is you see is when you start talking to people, you go to events, the event is advertised or marketed as AI and the future of robotics. When you go there, half the people are asking you, hey, do you have a job for me? Or they're trying to sell something, So people are coming here with that dream of starting something, not realizing how hard it actually is. But then everyone seems to be talking about it, but not really doing it. So in practice, it's only I don't know what's the percentage of population that's actually doing something, but it's a struggle, in the Bay Area.
That's interesting. Yeah. So if you were a young person today and you had like a bug to be an entrepreneur, would you advise them to move to Silicon Valley or California at this particular point? Or would you say, hey guys, look at the housing market.
Yeah,
You don't want to live here. I mean, like I lived in Oakland for a lot of the time that I lived in the Bay Area because everyone else was so expensive. I also moved into San Francisco, and San Francisco at the time was cheaper than San Jose. And
right.
like San Francisco's epic. So like, of course I'm going to move to San Francisco. So yeah, like what would you advise people? I mean, my anecdote here is that working in like, the creative fields, like screenwriting and novel writing and that sort of thing, you got to go to Hollywood if you're going to write a
Yeah,
screenplay. Like, I'm so sorry. You got to do it. There's all these people on YouTube saying like, you can write a screenplay anywhere. It's like, sure you can, but like it's who you know. Like I promise, like I've learned that myself. It's just like that's it. It's who you know. Is it the same in like the startup world where like you kind of like you just gotta go to Silicon Valley whether you want to or not, whether you can afford it or not, or like what's your sense about that?
I mean, not necessarily. Now if you look at the other side of the world, I mean, Asia has quite a lot of, I went to India, been to China. China, I'm just amazed by like how fast they've done things and brought up entire ecosystems, innovation centers. And, by all means, I think the only thing currently keeping us number one, US, is that the money is all coming out from here.
Yes.
But there's a lot of innovation and a lot of high deep tech is coming out of Europe and Asian countries. If you just look at the population demographic alone, Asia has so much more. I think they've collectively got 800 million between India and China of the next intelligence human brain workforce. So these are the people who are currently, I don't know, 18 years old, and they're going to be the working population of the future. So they're all there. So I would say to them, it's not about Silicon Valley. It's almost like to come here to start something by scratch. It's extremely hard unless you have some form of backing behind you, or you come here with the notion of, look, let's go and work for someone first, learn the Silicon Valley ropes. Go work for one of the tech companies, big or small, a new startup. Learn the ropes first, and then jump in. By that time, you've made valuable connections, you've earned some money, but you've also understood the difference, tax sort of advantages that you can take, advantage of to start a company.
Yeah, that all makes sense. I think that I agree. Like the move is to first work for a tech company, a big company, and then like get the bug there. That's probably
Yeah.
what I would recommend as well.
You get surrounded by a lot of people, who are often doing something on the side. Then you start figuring out, hey, I can still work, hold a good day job, and build something on the side without, and I can be most. I have a lot of friends who are business owners, and they're successful ones, and they allow, and they're like mid-sized businesses. They allow their employees to start something on the side as long as their day job is
Interesting.
there,
Okay, I
because
like that.
they're like, we gotta promote, entrepreneurship from the inside out as well, because they stay good to the company, they become friends, and and I think a good boss shouldn't be holding back, an employee or someone who has the ambition and motivation to go and start something. So should be encouraging them. So there's a lot of people who started that way out here. I actually, not this year, up until last year, I was mentoring postgraduate students from various universities. One was in Australia, one was here in US, UNSW in Australia, Columbia U in US. And these were all people who live in Silicon Valley. They went to Columbia, came back. So I just started mentoring them. One of them actually started a business, and I gave them their first sort of business opportunity slash paycheck. They did something small for me, and they learned. It didn't cost me much. I got some output, but they learned from it. And then they decided, okay, we have to actually go and work for someone first. So now they both have jobs at Microsoft, and I stay in
Cool.
touch. And they say, hey, we still have the business bug, but we wanted to save up some more money, learn some more things, make some more connections, and then we'll get back into business.
So one more job related question. Do you have any hot takes on or predictions about automation taking jobs? And do you worry about some of the predictions people are making about, 10 years from now, half the jobs are going to be gone? And already you're seeing like the New York Times reporting that like recent graduates, it's like the lowest, or I mean, the highest unemployment for recent grads like ever, like that sort of thing. Do you worry about this or have any hot takes about what's coming because of AI?
Yeah. Well, one part is definitely, I think, media sensationalism.
Yes,
So,
100%.
um, but I reflect on it. So we came from an agriculture economy where every every family wanted to produce more kids and have the helping hand on farms plus safety. We went to industrial economy, to tech economy, now AI. One common thing I've noticed with every economy, if with every from agriculture to industrial to tech AI, the number of people required to do that same job has reduced. And more,
Yes.
if you look from agriculture to industrial, robotics took over, tech to AI. There's a combination of robotics, and it's not even robotics, it's robotics in our laptop, right? AI is doing jobs for us faster. So yeah, I think that's what I'm mentioning before. I don't know where the equilibrium point is, where AI and robotics end up becoming same with humans, and in some cases surpass them. So I don't know where that point is, but it is a worry. And based on current trajectory, I think it is coming. Hey, but then who knows? It might solve the other population crisis, so-called crisis, where if people are out of jobs and AI is doing stuff for them, they may end up getting bored and produce more kids. I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say. Hey, like maybe also this is a good time to have kids because it also like gives you that perspective on life that it's not just the next 2 years of my life or 4 years. Like all of a sudden you start really looking long term and being like,
Yeah,
how do I make this world a better place for my kids? Which
yeah.
is I think a great perspective to have in life. Yeah. So anything else that you want to tell the audience about OnlyDads or any of the projects you're working on, or where can people find out more about what you're up to?
Um, OnlyDads is just by the website. I haven't posted much about it and I haven't added it to my LinkedIn profile. Yeah, but they can obviously connect with me. But for OnlyDads, I think you mentioned it before. It's only-dads.com. Um, by the way, OnlyDads was taken. It's a small merchandise company in New York. So I've
Oh,
actually
fine.
I've reached out to them and said, maybe we should look at partnering. They can sell their merch through us.
Good idea. It's a good idea.
Only-dads.com. The other part is my real estate tech company. That's a very, it's not people, like it's not consumer centric yet because it's brokerages and escrow
Mhm.
companies that I'm using. But I've also got a long term play with that, which is trying to bring down as much as I can the closing costs and the commission that's charged in the United States, which is very high
I
when you think.
love that. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that through, and I've got some good name brokerages which I can't divulge yet that are using our system. But one thing is for certain that the real estate industry here compared to other parts of the world where I've lived and done work at, US real estate is almost a legacy industry. It's almost stuck in the past. And it's not for the lack of technology. There's a lot of technology out here. It's just the number of people that are integrated into the value chain between a person selling a home and person buying a home is quite a
Yeah.
lot, and a large number of them are not needed. And I'm not going to go into details, and but there's literally not needed, and I can tell you this firsthand experience because I grew up in Australia. There's
I love that. Yeah. Okay. Let's get rid of some of those jobs.
Well, some of them
No.
are going to go no matter what. So I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there resistant to that change because it's been really easy cushy job for them for a long time, but many
Yeah.
of them will go.
I've seen some of that. Totally, totally agree. Great. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I will put links to Only Dads and some of those things down in the show notes. And thanks again. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me.